Idris.
Idris. Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck everyone's thing up too.
It'd be awesome if she launched it already. Drop an F-bomb in the first 3 seconds.
Oh, we're live, by the way. Good evening. We are on NA Lit Chat. It is Thursday, May 21st, approximately 9:02 Eastern Standard Time. And I am on air with DA Bauda, and we are talking besties tonight. It's really important in new adult literature to build characters, and one common thread amongst many genres, all genres, is the best friend. So we thought we'd talk a little character development tonight and see how everyone out in the Twitterverse adds their best friends or adds a best friend character if you do or if you don't. And we've got some good questions to throw out. And in the meantime, let's say hello to our very fabulous guest and one of my besties, Diabata. How are you doing?
Hey, LK, what's up?
Tell us a bit about yourself for those non-regulars who don't know you.
Well, I'm NA fantasy writer. I'd written 4 novels, The Elysian Chronicles. I'm currently working on a contemporary novel, or novella, due out, I think, this year. I'm not sure. um, and I also write poetry. Not quite NA, but it seems to be getting some traction. So I've been focused on that a lot lately, too.
I've read some of your poetry. It's very good.
Thank you.
And I can also say, as one of your besties, I'm fortunate enough to be beta reading for your novella currently, and I can tell everyone that they will love it. It is extremely funny, and it's very, very good. So you should be very proud of yourself, and I can't wait for you to get it out to the world for everyone's reading enjoyment.
Thanks so much. If they can get past all the swears.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's definitely for the faint at heart, but if I can spoiler alerts a little bit, it's set in Boston, and you stick very close to a Bostonian culture, Southie, and I would assume that people would know to expect maybe some F-bombs being dropped here and there.
It's what we do.
So, without saying too much, you can expect that in the lingo, but it's very well written and everyone's going to enjoy it. So hopefully you get it out this year.
Hopefully.
Nudge, nudge.
Not much going on, right?
Right? I know. So should we jump into it?
We should.
All right. Let's see. First, let's pull up Twitter. Let's see if there's any good news. Who's sharing good news tonight? I see February Grace has said that her good news is Wishing Cross Station is out ahead of its original June 2nd release, and go to her bio for the link. So everyone share some love for February. That's wonderful.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so keep that good news rolling in. Let us know. We'll be happy to share it on air. And, of course, if you have anything going on, tweet us the link. We will share it. We'll share the love. Let's get into it. We're gonna post these questions to Twitter. We'd love to have your interaction tonight. Let us know what you think. But starting off, what are some tips when writing best friend relationships? Do you have, from your book experiences, some good tips that you would share personally?
Well, from crossing. Okay, so first in my fantasy books, friendship was kind of an awkward, strange experience for the main character. So I wanted, a lot of her friends were new. She had traveled to kind of a different realm.
Mm-hmm.
Found out she was a witch. Blah blah blah. That happens in fantasy, and so a lot of the friends she meets are new, and so it's finding the best friend that becomes part of the story. Finding that person that you can kind of lean on, that can be your crutch, that can kind of push you forward. All
Yeah.
those really important things on uh, who your friend is and who you choose to be your best friend. I think
Yeah.
comes out in those books. In my contemporary, they are long time, like lifelong best friends. There's actually two best friends. uh, so there's Josh, the main character, who's got Morgie,
Hmm.
his lifelong bro best friend, and then Frankie, his lifelong sort of sister best friend. And so there's a lot of interdynamics going on in there where especially with NA themes, you're trying to find yourself, but you're also trying to find out who's kind of sticking with you when you find out who you are,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So it's a lot of fun, and I think it might be I hate to say it might be overlooked in some stories that I've read
Hmm.
where that's really important. I think is who sticks it out with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and you know, it helps to shape the character as far as writing the character and character building. Um, I think that it only adds truth to the character that you've written. If you can use between dialogue between the best friends and your main characters, to kind of prove things that you've already written about them, I think that only adds depth and truth to their characters. And, you know, in writing and in life, and that's why we read, we like to identify with characters. You always have your best friend from kindergarten, your best friend since birth. Even, some people were born because their moms were best friends and they grew up together because the moms planned their pregnancies together. I mean, everyone has those too, and it shapes the people that you are in reading those characters. It's good to have that too.
Yeah, I think the bestie definitely like validates kind of the character traits of your main character without your main character having to do it. So I
Hmm.
think it's a really strong position to, include another character who knows all those subtleties and can enhance your main character without, your main character having to do all the heavy lifting. Because then it gets a little tough. It's kind of sluggish if you're having your main character the only his own bestie or her own bestie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's a good question for Twitter. What might be lacking in some bestie interactions that you've read? You said that you've had that, you've noticed that in some books before. Let's ask our Twitter audience. Tweet us and let us know what might be lacking in some bestie interactions. In my book series, the Breaking the Rules series, Morgan is an only child, and that's my main character, and she has her best friend Amanda, and they have grown up together. So in Amanda, Morgan has the best friend, her sounding board, her conscience sometimes, but also, like a sister. And it's really important, I think, as Morgan is navigating her way through life without her parents have always overshadowed her. So as she's kind of starting her new adult years, post grad, getting her new job, all of this stuff, it's nice that she has Amanda, who's been a constant, but also someone that she can lean on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
oh,
I think that's telling of most kind of standard best friends is that they are your best friend or the character's best friend because they do those things. They've kind of stuck it out with you through some tough stuff. They've given you some tough love, and those things really build your character. They kind of become interwoven into the main character.
mhm. Wouldn't you say that you kind of learn how to deal with other people in dealing with your best friend? You have your first fight, so you have some conflict resolution. If you've, maybe slugged it out with a bro a few times, you kind of learn how to fight a little bit.
Yeah, and I think equal parts. I think your best friend can, in a way, be the trainer. To put it bluntly, they can tell you when to fight, how to fight, all that sort of thing. How to and not just physically fight, but fight for things you believe in.
Hmm.
They kind of prove out what you believe in, so you know when to fight. But I also think they they act as that counter and that kind of that they'll play devil's advocate, and they're in that safe zone where they can do that. So you have the best friend being the person like, do you really want to do this? And what if that? And kind of challenging your beliefs to make sure that you know who you are. It's not that, I think unlike, I don't know, other friends who are not the best friend, um, the best friend can do that sort of reality check and kind of like, okay, what is your heart telling you? Because, no one else is going to ask you this question, that type of thing.
And also, the best part about a best friend is even if they're the ones giving you that reality check, that gut check, and they're like, do you really think you should do this? And you're like, yes, I should. Even if they don't agree, a best friend will jump on board with you and be like, all right, we're doing it.
That's 100% Boston. They'll lay down in front of traffic for you, and you're like, you didn't think I should do this at all. And they're like, well, you did it.
Right. Hey, I've noticed, I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter as we go, and Michael Simcoe, one of our resident besties as well, his good news is his daughter graduated pre-K. Way to go, Simcoe. You brought your first child through a very important part of their education, the very first part. So
you were so sweet to Simcoe. I'm just going to throw this out there. Simcoe did not ruin a person before pre-K. Way to go, Sim.
Yay!
Which was probably one of his goals, so he's probably upset about that.
Oh, stop it.
Love you, Michael.
Love you, Simcoe. But yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to throw out some good questions to you guys on Twitter throughout the broadcast, and we'd love to know, like I said, what might be lacking in some bestie interactions. So definitely tweet us your answers. We'll read them on air. Let's get this good dialogue going. And let's see, what else was I going to say? And here's a good question too. How do you develop a bestie relationship when you're writing? I mean, how do you take the assumption? It's easy to say, for Morgan to say Amanda is my best friend, but how do you go ahead and, as a writer, and develop that through writing? What kind of strategies or what kind of things do you do to layer in that relationship to kind of prove the best friendship? What would you say?
Well, I think it's difficult. I think, it's not something that should be, your second thought. If you're going to have a best friend, you should almost write kind of the backdrop story before you're writing your book. I really think, it doesn't have to be long, it just has to be, these are, even bullet points or whatever, that these are things they've experienced together, this is why they're best friends, and just have that kind of like a character profile in the back of your mind, or written down, whatever, in your face. Because you want it to be almost subconscious, so you don't want to sit there and keep reaffirming that they're best friends, because that's going to ruin your story. It's going to ruin the flow of the story, at least.
Right.
But some things you can do while you're writing your story are, you have the inside joke, which could backfire.
Right.
So what you want to do, what I did it with The Edge of Exile, the contemporary story, is Morgie is telling someone else a joke that best friend Josh has heard a million times, and Josh just finishes the joke for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you don't even have to say it. You do an action beat that says, he rolled his eyes and finished whatever the dialogue would be. Those sorts of things. You don't want to overplay it. There's a whole train coming through my house.
Oh.
But, subtle things like that. You don't want to overplay it. But you do have to do enough that... wow, it's like right there, sorry. You want to do enough that, it's believable, and, readers aren't scratching their heads saying, what just happened? Like, what? That meant nothing to me. You give it enough kind of body.
Well, and to add to that, Casey Bond is agreeing with you, and she said that BFF characters need to add depth to the plot. I totally agree with that. You can't have them just kind of be along in the storyline. They should have some depth to their character, and you know, that's what we were saying before, where they can kind of give you the gut checks, or they can jump on board and follow you along your crazy path or whatever, and all of that sort of stuff kind of adds the depth to the plot of your story.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And um, I think one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing is, if you're going to have a best friend, treat them like a best friend to your character. I mean, do not let them just be almost a tertiary character. Well, that's a big word.
Ooh.
You don't, yeah.
Way to go.
It's big for Boston. But you don't want to have them be even less than a character than, or the, you know what I mean? You want to have them have a huge part in the character's role. Maybe not the entire story. You don't want to, pull a Bucky reveal in Captain America
right.
every time. But you want to have that character really support and flesh out your main character. That's their job, I think.
Yeah.
I've had people say of the Chronicles that they fell in love with Emily, the main character's best friend, Paige.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a real compliment, because I can't say it. But it's more of spoiler alert. It's a real compliment, because not only were they loving the story, and not only were they loving the main character, but the best friend character really added value. And I'd say, don't devalue your bestie. I mean, if you're going to have one, have them.
Yeah. Yeah.
DA's advice: don't half-ass your besties. That's the deal.
People on Twitter are saying that they heard your train chugging along.
Oh, we woke Twitter up. Great.
Yay. Our Amy Evans said that her good news this week is she's is really overwhelming happiness for Deirdre Spark. Would you like to expand on that? Let us know what is happening with Deirdre, because she's one of our faves here at NA Lit Chat.
We heart her.
We do. She's fabulous.
My Twitter's so messed up. I can't see anything.
Twitter changed.
They did
Everyone
not.
is out there. I'm just wondering where our brain's at. It's kind of because Twitter kind of switched up its format a little bit, and it's a little hard to figure out what's going on. So at Silverdoe 34s is saying, do not let your main character bestie become tertiary character. Their job is to flesh out. Oh, it's basically saying what you said. Oh, sound advice. She's agreeing with you. Their job is to flesh out and support the main character. Yeah.
That's the first. Great.
What, people agreeing with you?
Yes. I see that Simcoe asked our Amy Evans if the BFF is a dolphin. Dolphin love.
I know, and Amy's probably like, well, duh.
Obviously.
Always the dolphin.
Right.
Yeah.
Humans are secondary to the dolphins.
Yes. And Idris Gray, who is a longtime friend of NA Lit Chat, says, best friends are like right hands. They're never far away, and it's no different in fiction. That's absolutely true. I would agree with that.
True. Very true.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to throw out some more questions. Who out there for you on Twitter to answer for us, who are authors who write best friends, who write the best besties? I will throw it out there for me and say that I think Chelsea Cameron, who is a longtime friend of Lit Chat, she's been on air numerous times, she, in all of her series, does a great job of writing the best friend. And she's so far following all the rules that we're setting forth, really just adding to the plot, supporting the main character, adding truth and depth to the main character, and she writes them so strongly that she can actually spin off, in her series, spin off other books with those characters, with the best friends, and all of a sudden they're the main character, and she's already set them up so well that you love the bestie and you want to hear their story. And so if any of you have never read Chelsea Cameron, go out, click that. And she is definitely a great bestie writer. And it's, very, very true, everything she writes. I really enjoy reading her stuff.
Oh, it's that easy, is it? Just spin-off story. It's that easy.
Oh, stop.
I would suggest, Simcoe just said it. Right on, Simcoe. I think E.J. Wesley did a great bestie in Perfectly Earnest. Right down to the drunken brawl, which was a fantastic scene.
Yeah.
EJ does it wonderfully, even in the piece where Beta are critting with him. He's excellent. He's got, all of his characters. You're kind of rooting for everybody in his books. It's amazing. EJ's a wonderful example.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely agree, and I would say, I think that I'm ready for, even though we've yet to see Your Edge of Exiles, I think that you could do a Frankie spinoff, or even a Morgie.
Oh, don't even tempt me. Don't even.
I'm going to throw on the gauntlet. There you go, buddy.
It will not happen. There will be no happen. Although I can see it now that you put the bug in my ear. Now I can see it.
Right?
Thanks for that, Lynn.
You're welcome. That's what friends are for.
Right?
Amy Evans says, I love the twist of friends to lovers in male and female books. It's because it's outside of my own experiences, so it's extra romantic. And I agree with that. I love that. That's great. Yeah.
Yep, that's excellent. I touch on that in the Elysian Chronicles. Twice, I think. I can't remember if it's twice in the first book, or I think it's once in the first book, once in the second book. So there's a double twist. So there, Amy Evans. And I think it's great. It's really effective. It's kind of you really have two options if you're going to do some sort of twist. One is that they become the villain, and the other is they become romantic.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the keys that you have to use if you're going to have a bestie. They can't always just be supporting your main character. So why not throw in a twist there? And I'm laughing at Simcoe. Sorry. DA can't do a spinoff. He's out of titles to use.
Jeez.
I don't think I can pronounce all my titles, so there.
Or titers. Whatever.
Titers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading Twitter as we go. Dahlia Adler said something to make them memorable. So when you had said what might be missing in best friend characters, something to make them memorable. So often I see new adult BFFs who seem to exist just to make the main character good in some way. That's going back to our other thing. I know that I'd already moved on, but I liked that. That was really good.
You're messing with my ADD.
I'm messing with my own ADD. Dahlia also says, I want to believe BFF characters have their own lives, skills, and purposes, not just exist in the universe to serve the main character.
True.
Kind of what you said. And yeah, I totally agree. And that's, again, that's adding depth to the plot and all that good stuff. So as far as, writing the besties, what is a good process for showing who are the besties in your book?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's really just illustrating those things that we talked about. I think you need to make sure that you're differentiating the bestie from the rest of the friends.
Mm-hmm.
The resties.
The resties.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that, they're extra supportive, they're extra challenging, they're, whatever that thing is that your main character needs. Because otherwise, I mean, if they're just another friend, well, and here's the thing: if you have too many characters,
Right.
you're going to fall into this trap. So you're going to kind of spread out the love, and you're going to have, I don't know, so you're going to kind of like dilute the best friend into many friends, and that I don't think that's effective. So you want to be careful to make sure that your best friend character really stands out as, he's the guy or she's the girl who's going to, lay down on the mine for the main character or challenge the main character in a way that no one else can. You really have to separate them from the pack. They can't just be another friend and then reaffirm, oh, it's the best friend. It's the best friend. It's just not going to work.
Right. Here's something to throw out to Twitter, piggybacking off of that. In writing best friends, especially, finding ways to make this best friend stand out from the pack, have any of you used real life experiences to write the best friend? Have you thrown in little, scenarios that have happened in your books that come from real life? Have you written your own best friend, name and all, into your books, and why? And kind of let us know about that. I have my novel that I'm currently editing and finishing, Next Life Love. There is a main character and sister dynamic where the sisters are best friends, and it's an older sister and a younger sister, and they are best friends. And it's very strongly written after the relationship that I have with my older sister, Lauren, and how she kind of sticks her neck out and looks out for me, but she kind of parents me sometimes, but then she's really funny. And there's even a wrestling scene among the sisters, and I don't know how many times I've been beaten to the ground by my sister and all the obscene things she's done to me on the floor.
You're totally fish hooking Simcoe right now. You realize this?
Oh, Simcoe, 20 years.
He's going to be all over this.
But anyway, I'm just
saying, sorry.
That it's really fun to write your own life experiences, your own best friends as your best friends. It kind of makes it a little bit more special, and I think sometimes it makes it a little bit more easy to write those characters because you know them so well, because they are your best friends. So I'd love to hear from Twitter. Have you ever done that? Have you ever actually written your best friend into your book or used your own life experience? Let us know.
I'd say one of the best things you can do is have a brother or sister character, because that's an easy gimme best friend. Some experiences would beg to differ, but I think by and large it's a natural fit for the best friend character, and they can do those things like you mentioned. Sometimes they're the parent figure, and other times they're the confidant character. So they get to play both ways. That's not to say you can't have like a mom daughter or mom son or dad daughter, dad son, best friend character. But I think by and large the brother and sister is the closest thing you're going to get to a very easy way to introduce it. And even beta reading your stuff, you fall in love with those best friend characters. You know what I mean? And that really, it's not all about your main character. So it's a wonderful tool to get readers to fall in love with the kind of the breadth of the story.
Yeah. Jules Dixon actually just said, just so you know, FYI, the first in Chelsea Cameron's Deep Surrendering serial, which is one of the serials and series that I've been talking about as far as Chelsea goes, it is free on Amazon, everyone. So we've retweeted that link out. So there's no reason not to one-click it and learn a great example of layering in the best friends. So that's exciting.
I just did. I just one-clicked it.
I already own it. I think that sometimes I pay Chelsea's mortgage.
You might.
So you're
Like, I
welcome,
can't,
Kelsey. There you go.
only because you can't remember if you bought her stuff before. You're like, is this new? I'm gonna get it anyway.
That's the good thing about Amazon. It will tell you if you've already. It'll be like, by the by, you already own it. You don't need to buy it again.
In case I need to read it again.
But it's good. I mean, it's when you're a fan of one of your, it's always nice when you're a fan of your friend's work too.
You were muffled. What?
What?
I didn't hear you.
He said it's always good when you're a fan of your friend's work.
It's mostly good.
Mostly, it's all way. It would be really, really bad if you're like, so you're my bestie. If you were to be like, hey, Linz, beta this for me,
And you didn't?
I said, oh, it's great.
Well, I mean, okay, so in real life, your bestie gets to tell you when you suck.
Yeah.
And that is like a perk of the bestie. They can be like, dude, I don't know what you did here. And it doesn't hurt so bad. I mean, you and I have kind of gone back and forth on, stuff we've read of each other and said, what are you doing? Even as bluntly as, this just kind of sucks, so, like, redo it. And you have.
Yes, I know. I'm laughing right now.
But I think it's, part of the perks of being having a writer group, having writer best friends, is that they can challenge you in ways that, if a reader said it, you'd be like, holy crap, I'm garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do this. You'd hang it up. But, your writer friends, especially your very close writer friends, they can say things like that, and you really take it to heart and say, okay, tell me how to make this better. Like, if it was bad enough that you said it,
right,
then there's a way to fix it.
Yes.
And you're saying it from a good place. So that's a good tip for our writer friends out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there have been times where I've been, I've gone to see any suggestions that you've made on my writing, and there's a lot of red and not green on there, highlight. And I'm like, oh my god, it's all red. But then I know that, I don't take it personally. I don't sit there and have the ugly cries and say, holy crap, what am I doing? It's, I know that as friends, you have my best interest at heart, and so I'm like, okay, this is constructive. He's doing this, so I can fix it now before I hit publish, and everyone reads it and goes,
they can't redline. They'll redline in the reviews, and you'll just die.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really valuable. I'm going to repeat it because it's great for our Twitterverse. I think. Get yourself a crit group.
Yeah.
I was a very, very private writer before, and I never wanted people to see my stuff as it was in progress, but it's really helped me kind of develop my skill and really hone my craft, and it's all from a good place. So, be very particular who you let into that group. You don't want just anyone in there, but, it's something that you should do, even if you're writing your 10th book or 15th book.
Mm-hmm.
And shame on you for bragging right now. No. But, if you pick someone you trust, they're going to do right by you. So you want to make sure that you pick the right people and really listen to what they say. Check the ego at the door.
Yes.
Meet whatever, once a week, once a month, whatever it is, and just really listen to what they're telling you, because they really care about you and your success.
Yes. Well, and you know what? I would also add to that it's nice to keep a crit group small.
Yes.
Because, especially if you only have a certain amount of time to meet, if you can only meet once a month or only meet once a week for an hour, if you are going through the critiques for 10 people, you're just going to say things to get it done and not really dive in and spend the time. So keep it small.
Yeah, I mean, I explain, and I'll just divulge this. When we critique each other, it takes a good 3 hours.
On a good day.
On a good day. Well, I mean, of work.
Oh, right.
Of actual work. I think that, it's really quality time. So, figure out what schedule you can do in your career
Mhm.
whether it's once a week, once every other week, every month, even if it's once every 2 months. But
Yeah.
make sure you give your crit partner enough time to read what you've and digest what you've written and read it multiple times. Um, but also make sure that you have enough time to be vested in their stuff as well.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly invaluable. I think if you're doing it all by yourself, and I am the biggest introvert, I'd have a panic attack every time before lit chat. But and I used to be this like kind of closet writer and just in my own world, and my writing is so much better because of my crit group, and it can't be understated. Like you need to get it out there and have some honest feedback and be prepared for that. You need to have a little tough skin.
Mhm.
But these are your best friends.
Yep. Absolutely. Going through Twitter, Jules Dixon, to answer the question on if you've used, real life experience, she said that friends have told her that they think they are so and so character from her books. And she said she doesn't write it consciously, but she said I use things they say all the time, and that's true. That's yeah, using everyday jargon from your friends, saying totes or whatever it might be. Um, I think yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, steal it all.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things that make them your best friend, and it was kind of my point about the private joke, but it's not as severe. When you're having a dialogue, if they say something that means nothing to the reader, but it means something to the main character, it's
Right.
believable. So you just use it. Yes, steal everything from your best friends. I would recommend, do not name your characters over best friends as much as you love them, because that can backfire on you very, very badly.
This is so true.
And they could say, "I'm not that way." And you don't want that conversation.
Yeah.
Or the "is that me?" You don't want that conversation.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's like I deny that the mother character in my book, in the Breaking the Rules series,
Is not your mother.
it's not my mother. Yes, it's my mom. It's totally my mom. But no, it is not. It might be loosely based on her, but I would never admit that to her. I will take that to my grave. So all of you people out there, I never said that.
Put it in your copyright statement. This is all fiction.
Yeah.
This represents its coincidence. Mom. It
Right.
represents my mom.
Simcoe says that, as far as like being in a crit group or whatever, he says, I can't say I've ever told a writer that their stuff sucks. Perhaps this isn't your strongest work. And yes, I mean,
Yeah, right.
you know how to talk to your best friend, you know how to talk to your crit group or whatever. You don't need to full out say, like, this totally sucks, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to say, love you, bestie, but guess what? This kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, I'll even own it, and I'll throw it out there on EJ's behalf. He told me a whole chapter sucked. Like flat out. He was like, "This sucks, and you should not do this." And I'm not going to divulge whether I believe him or not, but it was it was still taken in this context of he's a writer and he's a good writer, so I'm going to listen to what he says, and you have to have that tough love from your best friends. You have to, and you have to, not that you have to have it, you have to own it, you have to absorb it, you need to think about it. If you're one of the people who are just going to kind of react and defend what you've done,
Right.
I know it's your baby. I know it's your this is your story, and you want it. Believe me, I know you don't want to change a thing. Sometimes you're like, I'm dead set on this. Really take a step back and think about what you've produced and what they say about it, because they're doing it for you. They're not doing it to be a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the best friend gets. They get that they can talk any way they want to you. That's the best friend. So take it for what it's worth. And I think some of those kind of power shots are very, very valuable, because it makes you, maybe you don't agree, like I said, maybe you still don't agree, but it really kind of, you're stammering saying, wow, this really either wasn't effective or wasn't as good as it should have been, or just does not fit, and you need to evaluate it.
Yeah. Joy Johnson on Twitter said, well, she was tweeting at Simcoe, but she said, I had a friend write, a tear slid from her eye like a diamond. Somehow by Thor's hammer, I didn't blast her. Yeah, so sometimes things can be a little harsh.
Right.
But good for you that you didn't blast her, and that hopefully you're still friends. But yeah, sometimes things can hurt as they
Mm-hmm.
your way. Oh. Simcoe. I love you, Simcoe. He just said, did I hear an early in the book that had dirty scenes? Ew. Simcoe, not the same. Different parts of the book. Simcoe, you obviously didn't read my book. Shame on you. I'm calling you out, buddy.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Moving right along.
No, I want to invite Simcoe to our crit group. I think he can add something here.
I know. Simcoe, you're in, buddy.
And
So, in writing, have you ever introduced a love interest from a bestie, and what is that dynamic like? So,
spoiler alert.
But so, in writing your characters or whatever, what happens to your plot, or what happens to your story as maybe a bestie hooks him up, or maybe bestie, is the love interest? How does that change things?
Well, it goes crazy. There is no good ending. I mean, well, maybe there's a good ending, but it's drama. I mean, you're adding suspense, you're adding tension, you're adding. It should be unexpected, or at least a little bit unexpected, or it could be the other way, where everyone's been rooting for this your whole story,
right?
And then they're like, "Yes, it happened." Either way, it's got to be epic, because it doesn't always happen. Your bestie is not your love interest. There's a divide there. So if they become that, A, you need a reason. B, you need it to be awesome. And C, you need to be very careful, because your bestie in real life is going to wonder whether you want to get with them. Yes, Simcoe, we mean you.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Simcoe, join our crit group. That is so dirty. Oh, and you know what? Joy Johnson actually she just said something that also really great. She said, when you see your story take off, you start to crave critiques. And you know what? I completely agree with that. When writing, there are some times where I know that there's something missing in that chapter or in that specific scene, and I can't come up with it. And sometimes I just force myself to just leave it, knowing that my besties in the crit group will help me out and will be like, what, something's missing there. I suggest this, or this was really missing, or whatever. So that's excellent feedback.
I think, yeah, and I think to second that, if you have a crit group, or if you get a crit group, if you're lucky enough to get the right crit group, they're going to be the people. You don't know everything, and this is something I've known from. I literally wrote Hysteriata Book 1 of the Elysian Chronicles all in my head, all by myself. I wrote Book 2 all by myself, with no one else critting me. Book 3, I started to get feedback, and my writing got so much better. And that's when you realize there's a humility with your writing. And I want to say this nicely. You cannot be the best writer ever in your head. And right. This is from someone who's done it. You need to have that feedback. It is so vital to your skill, to your craft. They're only going to make you better. If only that they're going to challenge you and you're going to stick with what you've done. Right. But you know what I mean? You need to accept that challenge.
Yeah.
Um, Simcoe's cracking me up.
I
He's
know,
got
he's
stuff.
Cody.
I'm gonna block him so I can get through the stuff.
So here's a good question. What would you say is, with a new adult, what would you say the genre difference is with besties?
I'm not sure. I was hoping you would take this question. I know. Well, so here's all I really know about this question. I have 4 fantasy novels out for a series, and the bestie shifted from the main character's best friend from basically very, very young adulthood, uh, shifted again in book 2, and then became a love interest in book 3.
Yeah.
So I went like kind of the full gambit in fantasy. That's not to say that's going to work in contemporary. That's not to say it's going to work in anything else. I don't, off the top of my head, it doesn't work in anything else. It could, maybe dystopian. It might work in that because dystopian and fantasy aren't that vastly different.
Right.
I think in contemporary it could work, but I've yet to see contemporary series that characters last that long. It's either 1 or 2 books, maybe 3 books, and you don't have a whole lot of time or epic events to challenge those relationships or change them.
Right. Well, and I think within like the dystopian stuff, there's completely different action.
Mm-hmm.
So what they have going on is just so much different than contemporary.
Yeah. I mean, contemporary. I mean, think about it. Your plot and your action are based in contemporary events, so there aren't these life-altering. There aren't always these life-altering, epic shifts in your relationships. So, kind of your best friend is your best friend, and that's kind of it.
Right.
Unless the love story is the best friend becomes the love story, the love interest. So that's totally plausible.
So then what happens when you have a group? So then there's a group dynamic.
Sim goes all over this one too. Well, the group. Okay, so this is what I have in The Edge of Exile, contemporary. You have kind of the sisterly / motherly best friend and the bro best friend of the main character.
Yeah.
And they're not so competing, but they have competing interests. So you definitely get a lot of drama, and I'd say be very careful with it. Except fantasy and dystopian, you can run crazy with this. I mean, you can have. I did this with the Elysian Chronicles too. Is that you have these competitive tug of war type subplot stories that are fantastic, like literally driving your plot, because the reader's going to start saying, well, who are they going to end up with, and who's the best friend, and who's the love interest, and all this other stuff.
Right. Yes, because that's exactly what went through my mind when I read that. So yes.
Well, and it changes. So,
yeah.
And I would, on that point, I would say, don't make it. You don't have to have definitive answers to those things, but you want people to want to know.
Yes.
You want readers to really want to know. If you don't resolve that, it's a subplot. So there's your spin-off book, or it's not, and it's got a life of its own. Here's your fanfic. A lot of. I'd say that's my point on that is. You don't have to resolve those tensions, but you want to have them because they really help to drive some of your story. Where maybe your plot there are points in your story where your plot is going to be dry.
Right.
You need to get to certain places, you need to do certain things, and the readers kind of expect it. So these things really help kind of buffer those portions of your story where it's otherwise you're just like, okay, get there already.
Right. And I lost my point. Never mind. Sorry, I was listening. I had this great thing that I was going to say. And
Good point. Good
I
point.
know I lost it. Sorry, ADD. It's getting late. It's been a long day. What was I going to say? Because it was really good. I don't know. It's gone. It's gone.
I'd move
Sorry,
on.
I blamed Simco because I was reading his tweet.
I blamed him for like 3 things so far. That's good.
I think any lulls in this whole lit chat tonight, just everyone blame
Blame
Michael
Simcoe.
Simco. You can send your hate mail.
To Michael Simcoe 1.
And you know what? I've noticed on air that a lot of people are talking about. We have them talking about crit groups and finding CPs and stuff. So that's really good. It's good to reach out and find. This is our little community, so it's good to find friends within our community that can help each other out.
And I will offer, having been an NA author and writing poetry, there's no good avenue in poetry for this. This is strictly a fiction, whether it's NA or not. And get your NA people into other things than NA and vice versa. You can expose them to things that they kind of don't realize. But with poetry, it's very, very different. You know, you don't have these tight-knit kind of friendships that, I mean, you're lucky if you do. I guess you're lucky if you have it anywhere.
Aw.
I'll edit that whole statement. Delete. But I'd say just, always be careful who you crit with. You don't want a bad experience with your crit group, but those should be your best friends, your best writer friends.
Yeah.
One very good caution, I'd say, is don't let your best friend in your crit group because they're your best friend. Because they will not add value. If they're not a writer and if they don't know the craft and they don't know what you're trying to do, they're either A, not going to get it, or B, they're going to say, it's great, love you.
And I made the mistake before of having some of my friends read it and not enough other writers read, because I got a lot of, it's really great, it's great, don't change it, it's great.
Yeah.
And then, like, after hitting publish, rereading I wrote, I'm like, damn it.
I think we've all done this. I'm pretty sure we've all done this. This is mom in like the American Idol stands.
Yes.
Holding up like, you're awesome, I love you, and it's like, Mom, you didn't help me at all.
It's William Hung singing She Bangs and then going, but they said it good.
Yes, that's totally it. Although you become an internet sensation, and that's just as good.
I think I'd rather be an internet. I don't know. I'm not going to give that to Simcoe. Never mind.
There might be more.
So some people are talking about finding crit groups and finding, CPs and.
Oh, so they've gotten all off topic.
I don't think they're even listening to us.
No, they're not.
But Dahlia Adler, just so if anyone missed this or whatever, Dahlia Adler says contests are a really great way to find beta readers and CPs. Plus, you can see samples of each other's work right away, and it's less awkward. And I love that. I think that's.
I need more explanation on that. Dahlia, you need to tell me more about this. You need to email me.
Dahlia, hit Diabot up and tell them all about the contests and all that stuff. All of the things.
So I freely admit I don't know how to contest somebody into my crit group, but I really want to know.
I don't think that's what she meant.
Simcoe, you lose. That was all prep for that joke. Move on.
She also says there's a big difference between having a crit group and having a group of crit partners, and that is very true. One may be way better for you. I love it.
She's so profound. I have no idea what she's talking about. This is great.
Dahlia's
I feel stupid. You should have Dahlia on next week.
I should, because
I have no idea what she said.
I also love Dahlia. She knows how much I love her.
Yes.
Shout out. So, we've got 4 minutes left. We haven't started to tweet out our running high fives, everyone, with 5 minutes or left to go. Running high fives to everyone. But do we want to do our lightning round?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd start with the Twitter pitch.
Huh?
The Twitter pitch.
Oh, right. Well,
Yes.
first of all, Little background. We had a very fun scheming night figuring out what we were going to say on Twitter. And we've decided to do a lightning round where we ask each other questions on air, but also we're asking you all these questions. So we would love to have you tweet us the answers to these questions because I think we might learn a lot about each other in the next now 3 minutes.
It's amazing. I had no idea you were going to ask me these questions.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Aha! But we're going to first throw out to Twitter some of your most awkward bestie moments.
Either in print or in life.
In print or in life, yes.
You can cover it by saying it was in a book you read.
Even if it wasn't.
Right. Please say it was in a book you read. This is Jerry Springer.
Right. Awkward. I have had a lot of awkward bestie moments over the years because I'm someone who has a lot of besties. I'm trying to think. One time with my best friend Erin, she's been my best friend since kindergarten. We used to do a lot of baking together. This was when we were a lot younger, and we decided instead of making our go-to chocolate chip cookies that we always made, we decided to make fudge one day, and we went to slice into it, and we were really excited, and it was rock hard, and we ended up throwing it at each other and breaking a glass. And so that was actually more fun and awesome. But it's also awkward because I had to explain to my mom that I broke something by trying to make something that was horrible.
Awesome.
That was kind of more of a G-rated story.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
Twitter, we're looking for better than G.
Sorry, Stunts. I know. Okay, so here we go. Buddy boy.
Yeah.
How did you meet your bestie?
My current bestie?
Mm-hmm.
Through NA Lit Chat.
Aw, you're talking about me or EJ or Simcoe. You're talking about Simcoe.
It's actually Amy.
Oh, it's the dolphin
No,
love.
I'm sorry, that's the love interest.
Right.
Love you, Ames. No, actually, yeah, I'd say Ty bestie,
Mm-hmm.
you and EJ.
Mm-hmm.
I've known you guys for 18 to 24 months. I don't know. And
speak, that's a 2-year-old.
it's true. But I think it's, for me, I mean, not to get to, I won't get to. It's not going to happen. My besties have changed a lot. I'll admit right on air that I'm 37 years old, and your best friend changes. I mean, it really does. You don't always have the best friend you had when you were in kindergarten, and you have different needs and different wants out of a best friend and different perspectives when you're older, I guess. Oh, yeah. Now I'm talking like EJ. Grams. And I'd say, Lit Chat, any type of writing group, you're going to find your bestie in if you're a serious writer.
Yeah.
Because they take writing seriously, and if that's your passion, that's your love, you're going to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And so there, Linz. You and EJ are my besties.
That was lovely, bestie. No, and I totally agree with that. And Simcoe's ribbing me because I said I have a lot of besties. But
I'm sure he's thinking a lot more than he's putting on Twitter.
I know. He's like, you don't even know what that word means if you have a lot of them. But, it's kind of true. Like, within, the writing community, you and EJ are my besties, and we have a lot in common, and we hang out besides just writing, Yeah. But I also have, I have that best friend from kindergarten, and we've seen each other through everything. And then I have that best friend from college, my best friend Ryan, who, every Sunday we watched movies and shared a pillow and ate Burger King to chill out and not be hungover anymore.
Well, I think that's a fantastic point. You might have a few besties. I mean, I don't have one bestie. Sorry, Linz. Sorry, Simcoe. I know it's breaking your heart right now. But you have best friends for different things, and if you hold on to certain aspects of your life, I can't even think of one, but whatever. This is the Bostonian to me. If you watch a show on TV, I guess people do that for 10 years. You might have a best friend who is into that show, but that's not the epitome of you, right? I mean, that's not all you are. So you have the best friend for the show, you have the best friend for your writing. You might have 3 or 4 best friends. Good on you.
And I know that we're going over, and so we can easily say goodnight to anyone that needs to go and do other things, but we have just a few questions in the lightning round, so I thought we could continue. But if anyone has to leave, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. But this is just kind of expanding on what you were just saying. Do you, what is a hard moment where you or your bestie have pulled you through? So, for instance, my best friend, Erin, is my best friend since kindergarten. And, she's had, both of her parents have had cancer. And she went to school, she was a UW Badger, we're from Michigan. So she went to Wisconsin, and both of her parents, while she was going through college, had cancer. So she did a lot of driving home, the long drives, all of that stuff. And although I lived in New York at the time and then I lived in Oregon, we talked all the time. Sometimes I just sat there and listened, because her parents are like my parents growing up, because we've known each other for so long. And then sadly she lost her dad a couple years ago to cancer, and that was another thing, that I was just there for. And she actually, a week or two after her dad died, she called and, I was like, how are you doing, or whatever, and she said, you're the only one who, when I said, my dad died, you didn't call me crying, throwing a fit, upset, and have me listen to you in your hard time about losing my dad. And I said, well, we're best friends. I know you, and I knew to shut up and say I'm here for you and wait for you to say something. So,
well, I think I'm gonna skip my hard moments because I don't want to depress everybody. What I am going to say is, your bestie is the person who pulls you through.
They're your person.
And here's the deal. If you think someone's your bestie and they're not the person who pulls you through that thing, reevaluate.
Yeah.
The people who are there for you in the tough times are the most valuable people in your life, and you hang on to that. I've had, here's my admittance piece right before we sign off, on the downer. I've walked in on a bestie who has hung herself. It's traumatic. It's awful. It's guilt-laden. But here's the deal. In your life, while you're living, there's that person who can kind of pull you through the bad times. Even if they're hurting. That's your best friend, and you hang on to that. And that's what I'm going to say about your bestie.
Yeah. I would agree. Absolutely. Well, on that very light, happy note. No, I do agree with that. And you've seen me through hard times in this past couple, 2-year-old time, but and so is EJ. And we've all been there for each other, but you have to find your people and take that with you when you're writing. Think about that when you're writing your besties in your next, manuscripts or whatever. Think about what you've gone through with your friends and translate that. You'd find it to be very powerful. So on that note, thank you for sticking around with us tonight. Thank you for everyone's input on Twitter. Thank you, Amy Evans, for keeping it going on Twitter and for being a part of our great group. Shout out to Amy. And thank you, bestie of all the resty, Mr. Diabota, for joining me tonight. I know you've had a long, busy week, and I made you. So I appreciate it.
You're forgiven, and I love you.
And we're going to say goodnight. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.